Hey, on another note.
Plus, the wife holds a couple big ones, big strings in him. Have you heard? I think we're going to get Romney for president.
Yeah.
Say it.
Oh, did you hear about that guy? He's like a Nickelodeon star.
No.
And let me think. Jason Biggs, his name is. And he was tweeting that he would like to do Ann Romney and Paul Ryan's wife and shit. Well, the whole problem with that is the Nickelodeon website is supposed to be kid-friendly, and it links directly to his Twitter page. And then they linked up with his wife, and his wife was talking something about the bodies of the young girls that are going to be at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards and all that.
So you have a true perv working there.
Yeah, but this shit gets all swept under the table.
I don't know. We're talking about it on our show. It gets out to millions of people.
Yeah. Right. I still don't even know where this show's going to end up. Tumblr, maybe? Spreaker, maybe everything. Tumblr, YouTube, MySpace, Spreaker, Facebook, Pacemaker. That'll do a social networking website for us old bastards. Call it Pacemaker.
Facebook.
Pacemaker, the website for the
So I kind of think
octogenarian
Obama
crowd.
should, if he gets to be president again,
Yeah.
he's going to shut down everything. He's going to call, he's going to say that's good. It's going to get better. The more people that are going to leave work, the better things are going to be. Get on the dole. The government was like surprised the other day that there's not as many people as they thought on the dole because I guess they miscounted something.
No, because their fucking benefits ran out. I don't know. I don't want to hash all that old shit over again.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with benefits, but don't you think the benefits are wiser spent giving money to people who are underemployed? At least you're working. Now here's a little bit to help you out. Instead of here, just stay home and don't do nothing and I'll give it to you.
The whole thing's
Because
got to be reworked.
Yeah.
The whole thing's like, it's got to be redesigned. It seemed at one time, being out of work meant at the most a year or so, being retrained and then back in the workforce. Now it seems to be like some kind of everlasting experience.
And you know what happens to, like, the plumber down the street who learned the craft from his father, who learned from his father, so it's always been a family business, self-employed his whole life. And all of a sudden, with new insurance regulations, new laws, new taxes, this guy just can't cut it anymore, right? And he goes belly up and he goes down to the unemployment office and they say, sorry, you can't receive any benefits. You've been self-employed your whole life. What about that guy? What about that poor bastard?
That's another through the cracks thing. But,
and he also doesn't get counted on the unemployment rolls because it's not a job loss, it's a business close. They don't count that.
Right.
They count unemployment. Oh, well. And if he's not out actively seeking for work, then he doesn't get counted as the jobless looking for work. You know, they skew with these numbers.
And when did Social Security become something you just come from another country anywhere on earth and just apply and get the help because you can't do nothing? Or just because you drink too much or you do something too much and you can't function now? When did Social Security become that too? I don't recall. Well, that must have been voted in or something back when you were younger or something?
I don't know.
Was it ever meant? I thought you were supposed to work, pay in, and then when you retired, get it.
That's what it originally was.
Social Security, because right?
Socialism security is what it is now.
Socialism was security, and that was the security of it. So now it turned out to be big socialism security, not just a little. This is huge. This nets everything. I mean, like they say, everybody wants to come here. Without that, if you took that out, guess what? Everybody would be leaving. It would be like somebody just flushed out a bee's nest with a gas. Nobody would want to stay here.
I don't know. I'm going to look this up right now.
Good idea.
But I bet you if they cut the U.S. government federal payroll by 10%, I bet you could finance Social Security.
Well, I mean, why would you want to do that? I mean, what you want to do is find out who's using it without paying in, right? It's not for everyone, right? Not everyone who just, like, we
not
know
for
people, Tone, are on it for all kinds of reasons. And some of the reasons I don't even know what they are. You know what gets me the most is the post-traumatic stress disorder. You know what that sounds like sometimes to me? Fear of working.
The federal payroll, $202.15 million.
You know what? If it's PSD from being in the service, then you should get it. But if it's just for being in the United States and going crazy, this crazy society, you should.
Oh, There are 2.15 million employees working with the for the federal government.
2 point what?
2.15 million.
That's not a lot. There's 300 million.
2 million people.
But there's 300 in the country. There's 300 million people in the country. That must be directly for them, right? For the federal government?
That's a lot.
That's just, it's a lot of people, but it's not a lot in comparison to the country. It's about 1.5% of the population.
And there's another 1.35 million civilian federal employees.
No, we're getting more. It's going to be like more like 5% maybe.
I want to know how much it is money-wise.
10% of the population, when you add up all the offshoot businesses that are, don't you think that the government goes down, they're supporting that?
See, something's wrong here, because now this thing says the Office of Personnel Management does not keep records of how many government contractors or grantors. This says in 2005, they must have grew 2.15 million people. Because this says in 2005 there were 14.6 million people employed by the government, 1.9 million civil servants, 770,000 postal workers, 1.4 million uniformed service personnel, 7.6 million tractors, and 2.9 million grantees. So there's a shitload of people. If you figure 15 million people, that's 1/20th?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
1/20th of the U.S. population.
Right.
Which is what, 5%?
Yeah,
5%. Wow, okay, we're getting too serious here. This is a serious show.
Yeah.
We can't be doing that. I forgot we were doing a show almost. I thought we were just talking about it. So, May 17th, 2012, $439 million in employee bonuses. All right? So that ain't right. If you could cut the federal government by 10%, you could fund a whole lot of programs for people who really need help. If you could cut the federal government by 10% and use that to grow private sector jobs, you could have the jobless rate down to 2% inside of 15 years.
You have to build and innovate stuff now. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a company that builds something and goes and installs it somewhere.
Or sell a product. I've thought the government should get into business for a long, long time.
Not the government, people.
No, I think the government should finance its own way.
Oh, you
sell
do, Mr.
something.
Stalin.
The government should sell something.
We want to shrink government. You were an original Tea Party
No.
member.
Yes. I want the government totally not to rely upon us for its income. And in order to do that, the government has to... But it still needs to fund... Even if it was down to 2 people, you still need to fund it. You still need to fund some sort of operation.
When you do that.
Yeah, when you fund shrinkage, you shrink fundage, yes. But the government needs money to operate. Everybody and everything needs money to operate.
Well, I don't want to.
I just don't want it to take.
It has plenty to make it.
It doesn't.
From its friends, the Rothschild.
No, you don't borrow because then you got to pay back.
Quite a nice hefty borrowing.
I'm talking about a recession-proof product people have been paying for since time began. A service, actually.
Prostitution.
You know it. You know it.
Just joking.
No, I'm not. I think the government should take over legalized prostitution throughout the United States and derive its income.
They never say they're going to fuck that up.
Yeah.
How do you fuck up fuck?
You can control the diseases better. They can clean up all the sexual diseases they want to get rid of. They can infect mankind with all the sexual diseases they want to. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not going to use a government whorehouse, but...
If the government takes over that, we'll probably be getting sexual diseases while we were getting bit by mosquitoes.
Come on, look at the skanks. First of all, think of this. Aside from the income derived, right? You take the stigma away from prostitution because now it becomes a legitimate job just like everybody else. I mean, come on, Jesus' best friend was a slut.
Really?
All right? Mary Magdalene, she was a hooker.
Right.
And...
I don't know, I feel like somebody's watching this.
You see, now...
The eyes are on you now. Ooh,
But if the government were to open 50 state legal bordellos, maintain strict health codes, I mean, you got to be checking up these girls. You would control the rampant sexual diseases that are out there.
I don't think it's a good idea.
You wouldn't be having your junkies and your crack whores, and not to mention the fact of how many thousands of jobs it would open up.
Isn't it funny how it's just in Nevada, it's legal. It's like it's been legal there for a couple hundred years, right?
No, they just re-legalized it, I think, about 30 years ago.
So it's just that state, it's legal.
The only one.
It's
and
not
they
federally illegal then, right? Like,
yeah, it is.
Why don't they crack down on that?
Because it's legal in Nevada.
Okay. Well, marijuana, distributed things in
Colorado. Colorado's trying. Or not Colorado, Oregon.
Trying to get prostitution legalized?
No, Oregon is trying to actually out and out legalize the sale and distribution of marijuana with tax collected revenues. Use the rest of the plant for hemp and hemp seed oil. Yeah.
That's great, but why is Oregon so far ahead of everybody?
Because a lot of the hippies that didn't want to morph into what the liberals of today have become fled to the northern woods out there from California. And now you're 2 generations into it.
So they all got scientific reasons why this will work.
So those people kind of know how to live off the land and are more free thinkers.
Yeah, know how to maybe work their political system at the local levels.
A lot of them are touchy-feely and earthy, crunchy, but they aren't the fake ones that you see who live in the suburbs and,
Right. They got a Paul Bunyan
and they don't agree with the
type of with chopping down a big tree.
Right, and they don't agree with the liberal philosophy of the big government and government takes over any more than they agree with the Republican philosophy of foisting some of its moral beliefs down your throat under the guise of legislation.
Right.
They believe less government. They're more libertarian type people, but they're probably, most of them aren't even politically active.
Makes sense.
They try and live off the grid. They live in the woods.
Right.
There's a lot of woods out there.
There is.
It's a much sparser population.
Right. It's the last country, state over here on the corner, right?
And you know something?
It's right. Washington, and then it's not coastal, right? It's parked under Canada?
Yeah, it's coastal. It's parked under Canada, above Washington.
Okay.
So it has a coast.
Washington and Oregon like that? Is that how
yeah, it's Canada, Oregon, Washington, California.
So it's our top state. It's really drifting into Canada a lot.
Right.
We know Canada don't mind weed.
Like I said, too, it's more than them being hippies. It's something that the hippies morphed into.
Don't forget, what is it?
Sort of like
it's legal. They must have companies all up and down the coast over there.
Well, it's sort of like
that
down
works with that, and so
like down in like.
I just wants to branch off into it.
You know how here in Western Mass we're a little different from the rest of the state, and we are.
Yeah. Okay.
Most of the people I met from Oregon, I couldn't even tell an accent. They were so similar.
They're
to
like us.
Yeah.
They're from Maine. They're Massachusetts.
The climate is very similar. Day and nights happen about the same time and stuff like that.
And is it like, do they have like seasons like that?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, if you will, Massachusetts on the west coast.
Yeah, but Western Mass, not like the Boston pukes.
Right.
None of the Harvard educated.
Right, yeah. Even Worcester talks a little different.
Even Worcester's different.
That's weird. We have like 3 different dialects in our state.
And then, well, no, because then you go down by New Bedford and Fall River, and they're almost talking like, yeah, that was wicked good. They're almost like they was from Rhode Island and New York. You can't quite tell which one. That was wicked good. We're going to have lobster tonight.
We are such an effed up state. We couldn't even figure out how to talk, you know what?
Yeah, but it all started here.
It all did. That's why it's like that, probably.
They can say it started down in Virginia.
But
we started
really
the
revolutions.
revolutions. All the rabble rousers were up here.
Well, it branched off from Boston, right? And it came this way. And then by the time it got here, way past us, we had another little revolution no one even knows about. The Shays Rebellion.
Oh, yeah.
We took over the government one more time. Like, we were used to it out here. But they quickly took it back. What was the story about Daniel Shay's Rebellion?
Yeah.
When they burst into the court in Springfield because they were taking farmers' land, and and they took the arm took the courthouse.
They took.
And then they went up the street, which was only up the street to the armory at the time. And they
Right
took
across
that
the
over.
street from where we are.
Yeah, they took that over. So they held the armory and the courthouse. They had Springfield by the right.
By the Cojones. They had
We're proud of that.
They were holding the eggs of Springfield in their
Of course,
hand.
today they'd be
Now
known as
I
Springfield.